say feel that bass. We gon' shake up this place. Say pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Everybody say feel that bass. Yeah, we gon' shake up this place. Pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Say dreams to chase. Yeah, we ain't losing this race. Say we got faith. Yeah, we know what it's gonna take. Ain't nobody gotta do for me what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yeah, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, ain't nobody gotta do for me. Yep, what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Say what? Stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, I said. Shake up this place. Say pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. That bass. Yeah, we gon' shake up this place. Pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Ain't nobody gotta do for me what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yep, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, ain't nobody gotta do for me. Yep, what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yep, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, I said feel that bass.
And there's sus. What?
Just played it 'cause I finished my
You just
school.
Zero.
what are you doing?
Is that
here?
our producer?
What-
Is
what
that
are
our
you-
producer?
What do you?
Yes.
Did you come in here for something?
No.
Oh. No?
She's part of the show
You
this
just
morning.
Felt like coming in. There goes Dutchie. She didn't poop in here again, did she?
Pull up a
Hey,
chair.
everybody.
Settle on into the action.
What are we doing?
Dutch.
Oh, hey, we're live.
Yeah, you're live.
Howdy, people. Good to see y'all. Glad to be back. Wait, how did I got?
Making sure dogs don't poop in the house, having some technical issues, and what's that?
I've got a little Bluetooth thingamajigger. I wonder if I can cover up my eyes and if it'll actually. Look at that.
There you go. Goes to.
I have no idea. I thought it went to my mouse, but it's unplugged and the mouse is still working. So
Isn't that beautiful? That's when you know you have tech issues and gear issues. You're like,
I have no
looking
idea.
around the room, I have no idea what it plugs into,
Yeah,
but
I'm-
one of these things.
It
Yeah.
plugs into something. It does something with the something for something, but I don't know what any of those things are.
Well, it's non-functioning
You
right
are
now. I
not
can
gonna be able
guarantee
to
you
see
that.
there because you keep blocking the light and look on my face. See what happens when we do this? Well, there's a glare because I'm looking.
Josh
at the
needs
light.
his light.
I
give him
I
his
need
light.
My beauty light. I am beautiful. Did you need something?
No, I just stand in here.
Henry,
Okay. All right.
what's up, man? Augie in the chats as well. Good morning, fellas. You guys are early on. Let's do
Augie he is here early. Augie, we were just talking. You posted, "I must be sus." That's where we got along on this rant because I said, "I must be sus," and Jared
I'm out.
just looked at me like, he had no idea what was going on.
Man, I'm out of the video games. I've been out for a while. It's not like me. It's a part of how I grew up. It's a part of who I am. But I've been out for like 5 years, maybe
Yeah.
more. Oh, I miss it. I miss it. I watch Jack Black play Red Dead Redemption 2 just to get my fix. Because I don't want to dedicate the time. I want to dedicate about 10 minutes a day to watch him play through that game.
And see, I've just been watching lots of Among Us. I have no idea why. Probably because my kids are playing it and they're watching it and we're having conversations around it. And then the YouTube algorithm says, well, you like watching Mr. Beast, don't you? How about you watch Mr. Beast Gaming? And then you get to see all of these gamers playing
Yay.
Among Us. I don't know. It would be fun. John Hayes, he's like, these kids today are just now learning how to play Clue. That's essentially what it is. It's essentially an updated version of Clue. That fits. That works.
That's what it is. Cool.
So yeah, and Augie's saying sus isn't even just video games; it's part of my youth culture. Yeah. So sus basically just short form for being suspect. You know, you're acting kind of suspicious. You're acting kind of shady. You must be sus. So when Augie, is here before we're all done, something's up. We're suspicious. What's going on, Augie?
I gotcha.
So that's kind of
I'm now the guy you have to explain all the stuff to. I'm like, huh?
But at least you got it when I posted.
Why'd they shorten the word down?
Yeah. Okay, boomer. So you at least got when I was just sharing out this stream over on Facebook and I'm typing out and I have no idea what I even typed, but as soon as I got done, I was like, lol. And you at least, you're up on the times enough to get that.
I don't have any kids. My closest connection is with the young adults group, and they think I am ancient. I'm going to go hang out with them tonight. And why do young adults start at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock? We start at 8. Everybody gets there at 9. They hang out till 11 some odd. Then we go get tacos at Taco Bell afterwards and shut down. And I've got a meeting. I got a staff meeting the next morning. Boomer. I know, whatever. Moving on.
Move your staff meeting.
Move my staff meeting?
Yeah, be like, no more staff meetings in the AM. All work is now done in the PM.
I would love that, but no.
I mean, this is early for me. Like when we were going through summer doing the Vlogpaster podcast, I didn't have to get up to drive school bus. I would roll out of bed 5 minutes before we were supposed to go live. I'm like, no, I'm not getting up before going live.
I had my suspicions about you. I was thinking, dude's a night owl. I know that because we compare notes. We're editing at like 2, 3 in the morning. Yep. But you're not trying to then get up at like 7 or 8. You get to roll into. I had my suspicions. I was thinking, maybe you and Genevieve had something worked out to where she held down fort in the morning until you got up. I got you.
For the most part, but at the same time, when you homeschool kids, we've only got one of them that actually wants to wake up early. So I've kind of,
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's perfect. Yeah, never mind.
Although, and that's Kiara, but I've also figured out if I put like a sleep mask on her or room darkening shades, she will sleep for 3 days. But if there is any bit of sunlight that creeps in, she's up at the crack of dawn. Either
my
that
wife,
or Reagan, who just wants to wake everybody up. She figures if I have to be up and function, you must as well.
That would be Jessie. Yeah. Jessie has to be at school, 8, 9 in the morning, whatever it is. And so she has to drink coffee and hang out in the chair for a while. And she likes to be with company when that happens. And so you're going to get the, hey, you up yet?
Right. Yep.
I am now, babe. I am now.
And, because Jen does get up early, not super early. Now I'm getting up earlier than everybody else. So I'm usually up, run the entire bus route back home, and people still haven't got up and out of bed. And then I'm straight in here to start working. And then they start rolling around. And usually Logan's the last one to come around. And he kind of just walks in like he did, 20 minutes ago, and just looks over my shoulder. And he's like, so I heard some wrestling news on Twitter. You want to hear it? It's like,
yeah, I love it. How's it going? How's the channel going? We haven't talked about it in a while.
We're not going to talk about it for a while.
Is it not? You guys aren't doing anything? Or?
We haven't done anything. We started out straight out the gate doing the live streams. No, I I only have so much energy inside me to do live
enough.
streams and
What
live
are you
chats.
talking about? This is life-giving right here. This doesn't drain you at all.
This
But
doesn't. You and I don't, because this is a conversation that we can, hold and go with each other. And most live streams, if I just do it on my own, well, all I'm doing is I'm getting up, I'm going to go through my monologue, I'm going to have my Jerry Seinfeld moment, and then once I'm done with my monologue, I leave, and I'm done.
Right.
And I'll see if anybody's got any questions, and I'll answer them, and I'll respond, but then I'm done. When we're live streaming our reactions to a pro wrestling pay-per-view that lasts 3 to 4 hours, I mean, at some point, the wrestling still gets boring enough that I'm like, I just want to change the channel. I don't want to have to sit here and muscle through this. You've lost my attention. I want to turn. That doesn't work so well when you're trying to do a wrestling-themed show or channel that has the live streams behind it. So that's where it's like what I recommend with people doing YouTube. Try something.
the YouTubes.
And if it doesn't work, stop doing it, reevaluate, then try something new. And so we've got a few ideas for something new. The problem with that is Logan isn't up to speed on the editing aspect yet. I need to give him a little more help on the editing aspect, and I am up to my eyebrows in editing and a backlog of videos that I'm just not creating at the moment.
I feel that.
And, then somebody is talking to me about, hey, if we're going to do Vlogmas, we're going to have to, get started early. And now I've got, like an extra 25 videos that just got
Dumped in your lap, son.
forefront of my mind. And I'm like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if this is going to work, I've got to try to match your pacing on it. So that way there's some interaction on it. Joys.
Yeah. I started filming yesterday for some of the intros and stuff for Vlogmas Pastor Season 4.
By the way, that Tenet style vlog trailer, I will not be replicating that.
Come on, man.
It's not going to happen. No.
That was one of those that got a hold of my mind and I couldn't drop it. So I thought about it because we'd been talking about Tenet and how much we like the movie.
Yep.
And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if I could replicate like even a small portion of it, even like the bullet scene where it comes back up into his hand. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And then I got this crazy thought and I couldn't let it go. Dog with a bone, chewing on it. I couldn't make anything else till I did it. Oh man. Had a lot of fun with that one. I'm thinking about doing a follow-up video I don't know if there's any interest in it, just like how we made it, because my wife ended up having the breakthrough moment of it. She was working as the cameraman, as you'll notice, because Kelvin's off and exposure's off, and she has no idea how to adjust all of that. So visually, it's not much, but the effects were fun. She figured that out. She's like, no. This is what's going to happen. You're going to have to do this at this time. It's like, oh. And it's actually one continuous sequence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was the crazy part, because I'm watching the sequence and I'm like, okay, I'm following. And then all of a sudden you start talking. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
I was following and I think I've got it, but now my brain hurts because it shouldn't work that way. And it's just like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
And then I watched the second portion walking and I'm like, wait, no, hold on. Mind cannot compute, which is exactly what I love of that. And that's what I loved about the movie Tenet, because you started to see things from the beginning and then the middle and then the end, and it's all coming back full circle. And it's like, well, no, that's so it was great.
That was one of those. I have a feeling that we're going to have a couple of those this season, because I've already started interacting with like the B-roll and the transitions and stuff like that. And it's like some of the challenges that we have coming up.
Yeah.
That it's got a hold of my brain. I can't let it go. I'm starting to write down notes and it's going to be fun. You know what we do need though? We need questions.
We do need questions, and this is going to be the bonus for you guys that are right here in the chat. If you have questions, we have got, I don't even know, should we just go ahead and give them kind of a brief little overview of what we're looking at?
Well, on Thursdays, we're going to be asking y'all's questions, at least the ones that we pick. We've got a few, well, actually, we've got a bunch that we're going to be asking each other back and forth, but we want to take audience questions and things that might be helpful or beneficial to you guys, or if you want to know something about our, Christmas traditions or anything like that. Anyway, we are going to ask those on Thursdays,
Yep.
I think.
So make sure you let us know, drop a question in the chat. Let us know. Catch us over there on the gram. You got Jared's info, my info, Bite of Brownie Productions for Jared, Joshua Ververs for me. Just
And now, dude,
send us a message.
yes, sorry, you got my brain going. See, whenever my brain lays a hold of something, I can't let it go. You said a couple of weeks ago, you're talking about changing the name of the channel or whatever, and I was like, nah, okay, whatever. It's been Bite of Brownie for as long as I've had it. I've built all of my socials around Bite of Brownie.
And now
They're
you're
all,
thinking,
and now I mentioned it to my wife, and she goes, "Oh yeah, why we should? I told you that however many years ago." I'm like, babe. And for some reason, you say it's fine. It's like, okay, I'm thinking about it. But whenever my wife says it, it like sinks in, and I'm going, oh no, this is a real thing. And now I haven't been able to let it go. So it may not be Bite a Brownie for forever. Maybe something different.
yep.
I'm working through that.
I,
Dog
you,
with a bone, man. That's my
just-
personality. Can't let it go.
you just gotta pull the trigger and do it. And actually, I was doing a podcast recording for Dennis Poulette. I think he just calls it the Dennis Poulette Show. And we were actually in like our pre-show kind of talking about naming and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I heard you talking about, Jared's channel and the aspect of it. And I was like, yeah, and Jared wants to keep Bite of Brownie Productions because of the business. I get it. Go ahead and do it. I still think it's wrong, but go ahead and do it. So it's just like, but and I understand why, because when we had that discussion, a few weeks back on, I think it was the podcast, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think it was one of the episodes that we talked about that briefly. And it was, I mean, I understand the logic and the reasoning and the rationale. I just disagree that it's the right way of going forward with what you're doing, because the channel isn't Bite of Brownie Productions. It's a bite of brownie. It's a look into your life and everything that encompasses. And so for me, the easiest way to brand that is it's about you and your thoughts and your life and your faith, and so it's based on you. So that's my thoughts.
Well, apparently,
if
it's
it
my wife's as
incorporates,
well.
yeah, and even like with you and with Jess, if she's taking more of a like a front seat, type of approach in going forward with it, like used to be, back in the day, if that's the case,
Supposedly she is. We'll find out.
and if she is, then that would be something that you talk to her and you say, hey, should it be, Jared and Jess? Should it be the Browns? Should it be, what do we do? Or do I just put it on my name and you're in there kind of like, others that do it? It's like, I mean, you look at like Casey Neistat's vlogs, Candace in all of them. I mean, all over the place there, but isn't there. You look at Potato Jet, you got Gene, and when Carrie's not in the vlogs,
everybody goes nuts.
Everybody goes nuts.
Last episode. Yeah.
But the channel name, for branding, marketing purposes, it's just so much easier to have that one name that's there, because it can be all of it and across the board. And then it's also a case of when people are trying to connect with the brand, it's easy to have that one identifiable, unless it's a business and a corporation. And then by all means, at that point.
And it's so funny how we've gone full circle. When this thing started off, we just put our names in. When YouTube was in its infancy, we're like,
Right.
oh, it's YouTube. It's about you. It's your story. It's how you see and perceive the world. And then we got into all these fancy names and gimmicky stuff.
Yep.
And I even, mine is around that whole Bite of Brownie, which branched into a business. And now it's like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
I don't use it for business. I don't really use it for anyway, it's a mess. Simplify it. Go back to first person perspective, I think. But whatever.
Yep. And I say you just rebrand the channel, Jared Brown, make it simple and easy. But as far as that actual branding, that's the other thing. I would say, what social platforms are you on? And this can lead us kind of going into some of our talk later, but the social platforms that you're on and that you're going to be a part of, I also recommend double check and see if that stuff is there. Like if you've got those identifiers. Now, you've got a unique spelling of your first name, so it's probably going to be a little bit easier. Me, who else has named me? I mean, it's pretty simple for me to go grab that stuff. But yeah, hey, I want to get to a couple questions in here, but I actually think before we should do that, I think what if we just go ahead and roll the intro, and then we'll address some of these questions to set up for the show, and then, what do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we'll roll the beautiful bean footage.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Find it. Is it that one?
Welcome to the Vlogpastors Podcast, a podcast all about the stories and strategies of sharing God's love in the digital world. Now, here are two pastors that love to put a camera in their face and walk around in public. They are the Andy Taylor and Barney Fife of digital ministry, Jarrod Brown and Joshua Verwers.
That's right. Welcome, everybody. I am Joshua Verwers, this lovely gent right here, the one and only Jarrod Brown. And we are the Vlogpastors. And who calls us that? We do, because we like talking about ourselves in the third person. And if you say it enough times and loud enough, people will start to believe you.
There you go. There you go. Stay positive about it.
So
I was just thinking, who does call us that besides ourselves? Yeah. Oh, Diana. Diana Gladney, who's also in the comments today. Thank you for joining us, Miss Diana Gladney.
Yes.
The queen.
We got people in here in the comments for those that are listening to the audio replay and whatnot. Essentially, you're missing out on the live stream Thursdays in the AM sometime, generally between the 10 and 11 o'clock Central hour. It's when works for us. And, well, I mean, we're the Vlogpastors, so we get to call the shots on the Vlogpastors podcast. And
our show, our rules.
Exactly. It's my playground. It's your playground. We do what we want.
Take my ball, I'll play elsewhere.
That's right. Actually, we probably won't because we love the YouTubes.
That's true.
So that's what we're going to do. But anyways, we've got people in the chats. Just want to give some shout outs here. Henry in the house as well.
Hello, Henry.
Saying that he loves the tunes. If you guys missed the tunes at the beginning in our countdown, it's some good tunes. You should go back and just, hit replay on that alone. About 3
I want to brag on,
and it's great.
I want to brag on Henry real quick.
Brag on him.
Hop in here. Henry, man, if anybody has been applying the things that you've been learning, or at least the things that we've been talking about, not saying it's inspired by us, but just noticing some of the multicam work going on in your service, noticing the sound quality coming up a level, noticing a whole bunch of stuff. I clicked on your sermon the other day. My word, man. Night and day difference from a cell phone in the back of the room. It was still good content-wise, but it's enjoyable. From a production level. Very nice, man. Well done.
I have the link setting and waiting for me. I was planning on listening to it, but now that you've said all that, apparently I have to watch it.
Well, what's cool about it is he didn't have to monitor the whole thing. So somehow or another, they've trained somebody else in the congregation to where, come on, this is a pastor's dream where they're just passing off microphones and going, and they're hitting different camera angles, and this thing's rocking and rolling. So,
nice.
Anyway,
nice. I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm definitely going to have to do that. So yes, Henry's sitting there as well. We have got Augie saying that he has finally made it before we were all done for once, and he then explained why he was able to make it. It's because he put it on his calendar to remember, and that's what I think you should do. I think you should talk to your assistant and let her know that you would like her to remind you to go on to a Vlogpastors podcast live stream every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. I think that's a good
very
idea.
good. That's very good. But quick question, couldn't you ring the bell for notifications, and wouldn't it let you know whenever you're going live?
Well, I suppose you could also do that. I think somewhere under, like, right down here, if you're on the desktop or maybe even on the mobile, you should see the little subscribe button. And if you haven't already subscribed, shame on you. I'm throwing shame your way. Shame, shame, shame. I know your name. Actually, I don't, because you didn't subscribe. But you should subscribe, and then you should ring that little bell. That way YouTube notifies you every single time that you upload a new video.
Am I subscribed to you? Oh, I am. I forgot. I subscribed to you the first time that we met.
Good.
I'm one of those stingy. I am so stingy, man.
It was hilarious. You guys, and you can go back and check. It's one of the old vlogs. It's like the first vlog that I had done where I met another YouTuber out there. And Jarrod did that live on camera. He's like, look, we're going to subscribe. So
floating coffee and... Hey, not supposed to click over to my face. I'm watching this. No, that's awesome. What do we have today?
We have got Avengers. We've got some Avengers kicking in the coffee mug.
A dark Folgers roast. What do we have in there?
This is whatever came from Atlas Coffee Club last month.
Ooh, okay. How are you liking that?
I'm liking it. I love my coffee, and I figured, hey, you're gonna send me a new fresh roast from somewhere around in the world every single month. Yes, please.
We enjoyed it until it started. It goes back through after about, I guess it's a year. After a year, it starts cycling back through. It's still good coffee, but
I like trying different things. I love trying different coffees, and I figured might as well. It was gonna work for me. Let's see who else we got here. John Hayes in the house as well, saying kids these days are learning how to play Clue. That was us in our conversation before we went live about the Among Us game. Augie was saying, dude, live streams are so hard to do, especially when it's just a delayed reaction as people type. Yes. Yeah. Live streaming is definitely like anything else that you do. Like anything in life that you do, it's always hard when you first start it, and it just takes putting in the time, putting in the work. And what was it? There's a book that I read. No, actually, that's a lie. I didn't read it. I listened to it. There was a book that I listened to, and man, I can't remember. Somebody helped me out in the chats, and it was basically saying that anything that you do, in order for it to be done well, it takes like 10,000 hours.
I think that's what it's called.
Which is essentially like a 40-hour work week times 4 years for you to be good at it. Which for any aspiring and up-and-coming YouTubers, if your first, 30, 40 videos look like trash, make 30, 40 more. They'll get better. It'll happen.
I'm proud of you for saying the correction of, I didn't read it, I listened to it. Because sometimes I don't even make that distinction. I'm like, I was reading a book the other day, and it doesn't click in my head until afterwards. I'm like, well, technically, I didn't read it. I listened to it.
I didn't read it, but I can't remember who did that one and who wrote that book. I don't really remember for sure. But yes, you said that Diana was in the house saying, I guess somebody said something about multiple channels and content. Jared, doesn't that sound like a familiar conversation?
Sure does. I'm still dragging my feet on some of those issues.
Yeah, back when I was,
which is fast.
I'm launching a second and a third channel and possibly a fourth, and then you guys are all like, "Dude, just do it all under one." I'm like, "No."
Some of you guys are gonna feel this one, but I'm an early adopter. And whenever it's my idea or I think I'm new to something, I will jump on that bad boy. But if I think it's a bad idea, you can't make me. I'll tell you what, man. No way. I'll stand alone on this bad boy. Yeah. But I tell you what, my wife says one word, and it's like, wait a minute.
Hold on, maybe.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
There might be something to that. Yep.
Might be something to that.
Diana's saying we definitely need a JV Tenet coffee segment. No, it's not happening. No, I'm not. We're talking about Jared's video, his vlog, Tenet style vlog that he just dropped yesterday morning, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Link is in the comments here. No, I'm not going to. No.
Why not? It was so much fun. You're gonna have fun. You are going to have fun, and it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be good. I know. I don't disagree that it would be fun, and I would love the creative challenge behind it.
Yes.
But I know me, and I would spend too much time on getting it the way that I would like it. And which even I've got I'm on.
Listen,
I'm on content overload as is, and I need to just start cranking out the videos.
My friend, because that was okay from my perspective, and those of you who know in production world, that was a turd. That video was a giant turd.
It was not a giant turd.
It was fun. It was incredibly fun to make. Come on, Kelvin. Nope. I'm telling you, there was like 6,000. I don't know what she was doing back there behind the camera. Like 6,000. We had it set and with cannons. And I don't need to give you guys any more information here. They'll go to sleep. And you can extend that, but apparently we'd been talking for long enough that it goes to sleep, and whenever it wakes back up in a default setting, and she didn't know the difference between what was going on. So we were filming, and we would talk it through. What did we get? What did we miss? And in one of those, the exposure's jacked up to 1 billion. The Kelvin's way off, but it happened to be the one where we got it right, and we liked it so much we didn't want to shoot it again because it'd taken too long.
It was good.
Regardless of
the exposure issues with it, it was good. Like I haven't seen anybody else even attempt to do that.
I got to looking
or
around.
do it well.
Yeah, I got to looking around. There's really only a handful. There was a choreography, like a dancer who did it.
Yeah.
It was, that was amazing. I don't know how that person did that, but
Yeah.
not very many videos.
No, see, dancing, in my opinion, dancing would be a little bit easier to choreograph that type of a deal because it's all about the beats. And so all you got to do is if you want things to match according to the beat, you can play it forward, play it reverse, doesn't matter. The beats per minute are going to be the exact same. The timing is going to be the exact same. When you're not doing it that way, which is what you were doing, to be able to time those things, no. I hate speed ramping. No.
What?
No.
Oh, it's a blast.
Not happening.
You're gonna love it.
John was wondering how many times did it take you to get that trailer right?
So we gave ourselves a limited time. We gave ourselves 30 minutes. Actually, it was 3. And anytime I say, babe, it's going to take 3 minutes, I need you to run the camera, we multiply that by 10. So we both knew that it was going to take about 30 minutes to shoot. So we gave ourselves a time limit and ran through it twice because I know she does not like to. One, it was on a stabilizer. I think it's behind me. So it was on my, what's this thing called?
Gimbal?
Zhiyun, whatever, Crane 2. And it's heavy. It's a big beefcake of a deal. It's way too big for her, so she doesn't want to carry it. Anyway, she did it twice. We ran it twice through, and I was like, babe, good enough. And she goes, it just doesn't look right. And so what she did was she whips out her cell phone, and we did a couple passes with the cell phone, and that got it. We realized what was going on because she could hold it, we could figure stuff out, and then she could scrub back and forth and figure out where we needed to go reverse, where we needed to go forward, and how to tie it all together. She did it with her cell phone. And so, anyway, all that said, once we figured out with the cell phone, got her back on the gimbal, which is where the timeout happened with the Canon. So it probably took about 30 minutes and about 8 to 10 times of going through it.
Timeout happening with the Canon. Aren't you going to love it when your Sony shows up and you don't have to worry about that anymore?
I don't want to talk about Sony showing up. I am so mad at Sony right now.
You know what?
Look,
if you would have listened to Diana and I and just pulled the trigger and ordered it back when we said to order it, like day one, it would be in your hands now. But
don't even get me started. I'm kicking myself on this because I want to pull the trigger on the other ones, on the smaller ones, because I'm going to do a couple lighter mirrorless for for Jessie to be able to use in weddings and whatnot. But we've kind of already agreed that we don't go all in until we know if we even like the Sony. We don't even know if we can work with the Sony. And then
I'm
if we
telling you, you're going to love it.
I'm just kicking
telling
myself.
You, you're going to love it. And here's one of the other reasons that I know you will love it. When you have any technical issues and with editing right now, you're saying, hey, Josh, what do we do here, right? Somebody that's using the same stuff that kind of understands your editing style and everything, you're going to go. And you go to Diana as well. Hey, what about this? What about that? Well, if you want some camera help, you come to me. It's like Henry doing some great things out there, but he's still using Canon. So he comes to me and he asks, and I'm like, honestly, if you want any help with Canon, go find somebody else. Because it's like, I'm out of the Canon ecosystem. And when I do a little bit with it, because I've still got the EOS M, I hate it because it just doesn't do what I want it to do the way that I want it to do it. So
I want to brag on you guys. I've done it before, but you and Diana have been absolutely invaluable to me. And I need to say that to the world because, man, I've hit some jams here that just little issues that I thought, well, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'll have to live with it. I don't know how I'm going to get around it. That you guys have put in some hours and some research to figure out how to get around these things or ideas for vlogs and titles. And I'm telling you what, find yourself some creator friends or at least some folks who are in this space together with you and give.
Yep.
Because it makes you want to turn around and go, what can I do for you?
It's important. And honestly, I think that there's something about not just finding creators, it's finding creators that are going to challenge you in multiple ways. You don't want people that will always agree with everything that you say. Like for you in the Canon camp, and here I am, I'm in the Canon, but then I switched to Sony. Diana had switched to Sony prior to that. A lot of it was that pressure of the challenging, going back and forth. And why did you do this? Why do you think that? That challenge actually helps us rethink what works best for us and then how we can do it. So I like that challenge that's in there, finding those people that you and I, we've got lots of similarities, but there's still differences,
Yeah.
with the naming of your channel and how you do that. It's not the way that I would go about it, but by me asking you why you went with that and your thought process around it, it then helps me almost solidify one of the channels, why it is named that way, because it reassures me, yes, this was why I wanted to do it this way, and it works. It's not the same why for Jared, but this is my why. And then with other channels, it gives me an interesting way to then look at them and, okay, maybe those need to be, worded in a different way. That challenge of community is good. So anyhow, who did we have? We had some more in here. Oh, Dean. Dean Lentini saying, made it. Yeah, that Tenet video was awesome, although I was concerned with the phone flying. John saying it turned out well. Augie saying that it was great. And you couldn't do that one without the continuous sequence. Oh, wait. Dean actually has a question for us. Here's his question for Vlogmas.
Let's have it, Dean.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I think you and I were just discussing this the other day. That may have to be
this has come up.
That may have to come up in one or more of the vlogs.
Trying to find your comment. Where is it?
Who, mine? Dean's?
No, Dean's. Go ahead.
It's down there. Diana, laugh out loud. A win for Jesse. Let's see. Henry answered him, says that Die Hard is absolutely a Christmas movie. The quote, Diana is quoting me. I think it's still wrong, but go ahead and do it.
That's kind of around about what we were discussing. I won't give too much away, but just in case we do decide to use that one. But that was kind of like, first of all, there's some controversy to whether that is appropriate for all viewers, and do you cite what they anyway? It's a mess.
Yeah,
I say go for it. I say Die Hard is a part of Christmas culture and should be included if we go to replicating anything, or if we go to citing favorite movies or whatnot. Yeah. I think it's valid.
Yep. Along the branding aspect, Diana is saying her channel has both her name and Entree Woman TV, but the name is first. But it could always change, and her social handles always has it by name. I think Jason Mayfield kind of went through that as well, where his channel was originally Grace for Life TV, and then it was Grace for Life with Jason Mayfield, and then it's just Jason Mayfield. And so it's kind of made that that transition. Laugh out loud, Diana. That intro video has JV vlogging with a Joby and a Canon camera. Don't remind me. I know it's there. It's our Vlog Pastors podcast intro. Don't remind me.
You used to love it.
Andrew Ladisaw saying, it's been too long since I've caught one of these. Praying blessings over both of us today. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that so much. All right. Wanted to get to a couple more here, and then let's get into it. Tim TJ Lee saying, I think that the book that mentions 10,000 hours is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Absolutely.
Oh, that's right.
That is the one.
That's right.
That is the one that I was thinking of. Yes, it's in my Amazon Audible thing. So that was one of the first ones that I got. I think one of the first three that I had picked up was Outliers. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Mm-hmm. And...
Any good recommendations, just leave them below, because I've got 10 credits. I can't.
Oh.
I need more books.
I haven't even checked some of my credits. Oh, the other one was, I think it was Primal Branding was the other one that I had bought right out the get-go.
That's a toughie, man. It's good.
It's so good, but it's hard to get through.
Into it, you're like, oh.
Yeah. It's valuable. It's great, but you can't do that like straight through. I think it took me a few months to finally get through that, so I would do a few chapters at a time.
There's an abridged version of that. Somebody tackled that and kind of took the meat out of it, and it's like it's something to do with story.
Yeah.
But I'll find it in just a second.
Yep. And Diana is saying that, Jared, the Sony delay is not Sony's fault. It is all of the Canon users that refuse to jump to Sony early enough's fault.
Well, then I'm the problem.
So it is self-inflicted wounds, but that's all right. The healing is going to be joyous. So you will love it. Dustin in the house. Hey guys. Hey Dustin, how you doing? He looks like a bandit. I'm looking at his profile picture. He got a mask on him with a bald head. That is amazing. Okay, I want to get a couple more here, and then we'll go down. Diana saying, running the A6400 and 6600 today. Watch the IG stories to see what's possible. There you go. There you go, Jared. Watch your
Building
stories.
a story brand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, building a story brand. Amazing.
Yeah.
Donald Miller. Amazing. Yep. Such a great book. Diana saying, I was just thinking about this yesterday. It is important to have creator friends, like Josh said, that will challenge you and your thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially about challenging your thinking. Here comes Andy McMillan in the house, who's saying he's awesome. And I agree. I have nothing to disagree with that. Andy is awesome. If you haven't checked out his channel, his podcast, I recommend it. Go check it out as well. Do that stuff. Perkins family saying howdy fellas, just popping in here as well. And Diana also says that How to Write Copy That Sells by Ray Edwards is another good one. So, and Storyteller Secrets by somebody. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Anyhow,
I'll hop in there and get those. Appreciate that.
We'll get those. Thanks for dropping those in there. And anybody else got any comments or any book recommendations, let us know. There was one other one that I was thinking, and I've got to get this before I just completely go off. Where is it? Go to the front, go to audio, click on Audible. Anybody else set up their shortcuts on their Android desktop in such a way that you can compile everything? So you got your social stuff, you got your work stuff, you got your church stuff, you got your audio, you got your video. Am I the only one that does that? I must be the only one that does that. I know I'm not the other one. I know I cannot be the only one. Okay, so I'm looking down here. It was one of the first ones that I had. And why can I not find it?
Sorry, man, you're on your own. I got a barking dog.
That's
real talk.
That's all right. I don't mind the barking dog at all. It works well. There was another good video down here, or another good book that I had listened to. And for some reason, I am not even seeing it. Oh, there it is. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits was just a great one that really kind of challenged and it still challenges me. I need to read it or listen to it 15 different times. So that would be something to look into. And then also the other one that I did notice that I had in here was by Andy Stanley, Communicating for a Change. Seriously, some good stuff in that one. So I'm also thinking maybe at this point we should just go to the blank screen of Jared and see how long it takes for him to swing back in here. I think that would be good. Maybe. Diana hopping in here and saying that it was organize and group my apps very specifically, not for Android, but for Apple. And that's a feature that Apple just started implementing in one of the last couple years, maybe, right? If I remember right, it was something that Android has done for a while that Apple was like, oh, yeah, that actually makes sense. Let's go ahead and do that. Anyways, I've seen a few things on that. I think that was one of the recent ones. Danielle saying essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less. That sounds like a good one. That does sound like a good one. And the best book for leadership right now is Canoeing the Mountains by Todd Bolsinger. Must read. All capitals must read. I think that means I am going to read. And Perkins family saying, what is this Android you speak of? Android I speak of is the operating system that does not limit what I can do, but actually allows me to do anything that I want. That is the Android that I speak of. And yet I'm still friends with Diana, who is definitely a Mac, even though I think PC is better. And she likes her iPhone, even though I think Android is better. But I still love Diana, because at least we agree that white chocolate is the best chocolate that there is. Can I get an amen?
Get out of here.
No.
I'm sorry, Diana. I know I just lost a whole bunch of points, but get out of here.
Jared has now been removed from the screen. White chocolate is amazing. White chocolate is amazing.
But are you really going to put it up against dark chocolate or, sorry, a semi-sweet or milk chocolate?
Yes, every single time. Now, I'm talking like real white chocolate. I'm not talking like, Hershey's cookies and cream candy bar that isn't even chocolate. It's like caramelized cream that is made to look like white chocolate. That stuff tastes like plastic.
Well, if you're going to put real white chocolate in there, I'm going to put real dark chocolate in there with some real either semi-sweet or some real milk chocolate. Smooth stuff. I'm not talking about the regular off the shelf, been there for 2 years.
Nope, you're wrong.
No, every time.
I mean, you can go ahead and do what you want, but you're wrong.
I'm backed by the millions. Go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Let them have it in the comments. Diana, only vote once.
Okay, here we're going to have the only comment that I think that is going to matter in here, if I can find it one more time.
Can't be Diana's.
There. I still think it's wrong, but go ahead and do it.
Just waiting.
That is the comment. There you go. Yep. And see, look, Perkins family, white chocolate is legit. There we go.
Hey, you're right, Henry. We aren't going to sow any discord or division up in this body. So,
Diana, amen. White chocolate is the greatest.
I'll eat all forms. I'll take all comers. In a pinch. Preferences.
Mom is wrong. She says she's with you that chocolate is supposed to look like chocolate. But Diana is right. When dark chocolate was found in a cave under a rock and a starving guy ate it in his delusion and branded it.
White chocolate's just unnatural and chalky and wrong.
White chocolate is not chalky. I don't think you've had good white chocolate then.
Okay.
Go to your local Walgreens or CVS and grab some like Lint's white chocolate bar.
We're all on the same page. I'm good. We're good with the chocolate.
Henry, there's no condemnation in the body. Chocolate is chocolate. I will still take any chocolate, really. But on the hierarchy of it, you got white chocolate, milk chocolate,
you know what's fascinating?
Semi-sweet chocolate, and dark chocolate.
Here's what's fascinating about this conversation here's what's actually going on in social media, or at least what they say is going on in social media, is that there's a limiting of viewpoints. Okay.
Yep.
And there is a certain class of folks who are saying, man, I don't want all the political talk, or my viewpoint is being limited by whatever X platform. And so I need to find a new one where I can have freedom of speech and whatnot. And I think it was in USA Today yesterday. Mm-hmm. They had a post about that. I think I left it pulled up on my phone. And even in this post, it says supporters say Parler is preserving free speech and is correcting for the overreach of the mainstream social media platforms. Pretty acceptable to some, pretty preposterous to others, which applied labels or limited the reach of many of President Donald Trump's misleading posts during the week of elections. This is the dark chocolate, white chocolate thing. is getting ridiculous. I understand. I don't get Parler for the first place. Let me just start right there. We're shifting things out. We're beating the dog instead of addressing issues. Sure, let's all go to Parler and let's start our own thing, but our problems are going to chase us to Parler if it becomes popular enough. Same with the rest of them. Same with Gab. Same with MeWe or whatever it's called. Yep. They're all knockoffs of the same thing. And I'm sure all the cool kids are going to go to these different places. They're going to try and start their brands and their companies and their networks and do all of their things. Fantastic. And if it hits a tipping point, it becomes something. Then we all transition over and we have the same white chocolate, dark chocolate thing where you're not going to convince me that dark chocolate is less than white chocolate. You're just not going to convince me of that. I'm going to hold my opinions until somebody comes across and says, I don't like your opinions. We have a fundamental problem, and we're going to talk about that here today on the stream. We have a fundamental problem where I think, I know we disagreed about this last week. I think we are being limited. I think even in the president's tweets, which it's pretty commonly agreed upon that a business, which is Twitter, a platform, is limiting the speech of an individual, I don't care what he's saying, unless it's, I guess they're saying it's harmful.
Yeah.
I don't care what he's saying, unless he's posting nudie pics or something. I don't care what he's saying.
Unless-
It shouldn't be taken down.
Okay, but so we'll get into this, and this is going to be fun because this is one of those examples where Jared and I do disagree on a little bit of it. A lot of it we still agree on, but there are the little differences that we disagree on. And I love debating with people that come from a heart of, let's just talk about it, and we can agree to disagree, and that doesn't mean that I hate you. I'll still love you regardless. So we can do that. Like, I can still love on Diana, even though she is all in the Mac ecosystem, which makes zero sense because it, again, wants to limit what she can do. And so I'm one of those that I'm like, no, don't limit me on certain things. But then on other things, I'm like, okay, if you want to go ahead and limit me, that's fine. And I come from a perspective of, first, understanding that Twitter, Facebook, that's their playground. YouTube, it's their playground. If I want to play freely in their playground, then I'm going to have to follow their rules. And because it's their playground, they can put any rules they want to at any point in time they want to and really do whatever they want. And my options are either go ahead and do it and just enjoy the rules and just live by them, or go to a different playground. The one thing that I would disagree and I would challenge people on, and it's an unacceptable, in my opinion, it's an unacceptable response, is to just start yelling and screaming about your rules are unfair. They're their rules, because Facebook is not the United States of America, which means it does not have to operate by free speech. It is a private company, and they can do whatever they want to. They can limit speech. And everything out there is going to limit to a certain degree. It's like what you were just saying. I think that he should be able to say what he wants, unless it's something that's harmful, unless it's something that is like nude and profane. So what you've done is you've put on these qualifications of, yes, I'm all for free speech, except in these scenarios. And that's based on your preference, your morality, your ethics, however we want to define that. These are the things that you placed on it. Facebook's just said, we're all for him sharing whatever he wants, unless, and they've just got a bigger unless than what you would do. And Twitter has a smaller unless than Facebook does, but bigger than others. And that's the thing. I don't care if you go to Parler, which is essentially a Twitter ripoff, or if you go to like a MeWe or a Gab, which are essentially a Facebook ripoff. And all of them, I've looked at all of them. If you searched hard, you would probably find my profile on there, but there's nothing there, and I don't plan on ever doing any. I'm one of those that a new social pops up, I go and I just stake my claim on it so that nobody else can then try to operate as me. And in the event that I would change my perspective and say, you know what, maybe I will give it a shot, it's at least there for me to come back to. But I have no desire and no intentions of ever doing anything on those platforms. And part of it is because it just feels like a clone, a cheap clone that is started out of the wrong motives. Because it's basically, it is what I see as the equivalent of a church split because they didn't like that somebody preached a certain message. Mm-hmm. Well, that pastor just keeps preaching on love, and I don't think he should preach on love. I want him to preach on revelation. So let's just go ahead and start the third independent, non-fundamentalist Baptist church of the Netherlands over here. And we're going to do what is it? It's just, I disagreed with something, and because of that, I want to take my ball, but I don't want to go home. I want to go to somebody else's playground because I can't take over their playground. And that's what it feels like to me, which is why I think it's just, for a lot of people, it's the wrong motivation. For other people, I think it's a decent motivation when they're looking at it from a case of, I really feel called to express these viewpoints. And these platforms are suppressing those viewpoints. And because of that, I want to find a platform that doesn't suppress those viewpoints. Fine. But then to go back on that platform and say, shame on you for suppressing, I don't like your rules. I don't know. And I try to simplify things as much as possible and bring it down to like the simplest common denominator. And I always bring that back to just human interaction with human interaction. And it's, it would be like a kid saying, well, I don't like that, mom made, chicken and dumplings for dinner. I want pizza for the 18th time in a row. And who's she to say that I can't have dessert before dinner? And why does she say I need to brush my teeth? I don't like these rules. I want to just do whatever I want to do. And it's like, okay, but how about you wait until you're an adult and you can go create your own home and do that? Or a church that would be essentially, the problem I see with it is it's a church split. Rather than a more appropriate manner for me would be if somebody sits there and says, okay, I don't like this church. I don't like the direction it's going, and I don't feel like I'm called to be in this church under these rules, these leadership, this guidance anymore. Fair. If you really believe that's what God's leading you to do, go find another church. Don't try to start up a new church and then steal everybody away from that church. And then don't go ahead and just start blasting that church at that church. Going and calling every other church member and, I just can't believe the pastor would still say that. To me, that's an unproductive, and it just has the wrong attitude and the wrong heart behind it. And that's what I'm seeing a lot with a lot of people shifting, is they're going from the wrong approach. Not saying everybody is, because I know people that have jumped over to MeWe, Parler, and Gab, and I've known about these 3 platforms for months because I've seen people doing it last year on a couple of them. And they were going with the right motives. It's like they really feel called to the political sphere, and there was some suppression that was happening. And because of that, it's like, okay, that's fine. And they were just like, hey, I'm getting blocked. I'm getting, posts taken down. I'm going over here. If you want to see my stuff on these topics, you're going to find me over there. On here, I'm not going to talk about that anymore because obviously this platform doesn't want it. And it's not that they were insulting or putting down Facebook or Twitter. They were just saying, hey, they made the rules and they said, we're not allowing this anymore. And I've experienced some of that silencing. So I'm going someplace that will let me express those viewpoints over there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I just did a big diatribe there.
Well, I appreciate it because I think we have a lot more common ground than than the language would imply, or my energy would imply. I agree with a lot of what you just said. I watched a show, a live stream this morning. It's not a news show, but it's becoming a news show type of deal. And about halfway through it, they said, okay, well, that's all the time we want to give to YouTube because they keep on turning off our, keep on shutting down our streams, keep on doing whatever. So we're going over to where, we have the ability to say what kind of we want to say in this political sphere. Yep. And we'll be over there. So if you want to join us, you can join us. That type of thing. It's like, oh, wait, what are you doing? Like, to me, that's suicide for as far as influence impact, but not really, because I'm on there going, why you do that? Yep. Why'd you do that? But I don't know that as far as the church split thing, that might be a little bit too far, and I think because I got caught up, or I am caught up in what I accuse boomers of from time to time, or the aged ones who have seen an age of media come by, and it's now past, and they're still trying to go back to bring those insights into this time, which some of them transfer, but most of them don't. It's just like where my grandparents or some of the silent generation can look at news and they're expecting them to be telling you 100% the facts of what's going on and not introducing their opinion. So whenever they hop on Fox News, they're taking it straight down the pipe of this is the gospel news, and there's some bent in there, and I can rib them about that, but I can't see in mine where you couldn't just say, find YouTube. if you're going to suppress and limit my voice, I'll go somewhere else. I'm like, no, that's where your exposure is.
Right.
Wait a minute, they changed the rules. They can't just do that. This is America, and I start trying to
Yeah.
bring in all of the things of this is America. We have freedom of speech. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. That part we do find common ground on. Well, I guess it is a business. I like it?
Right. No.
No. I think if you're talking church split stuff, I hate church. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you do too as a pastor. I hate church splits. I hate division in the body.
Correct.
I think we sit there and right, wrong, or indifferent, we slug it out
Yep.
in humility and grace and seek the Lord. I mean, that obviously it's the whole point of division. It's the whole work of Satan and how he gets
Yeah.
in there, gets a foothold. I get it. That's his whole plan and purpose for that. I get it. But ideally, you slug out your differences and go, I don't understand. Help me out. Help me understand. God help us understand. God help us understand.
Right.
Help us understand until there's reconciliation. We're like, oh, okay, we're better now for having walked through some of these issues and we're stronger together. Let's move forward. I got your back. You got mine. We've been in the trenches together. Ideally, that's what happens. And I that's what I want. And I guess this is the dreamer in me. That's what I want to happen with Facebook. That's what I want to happen with Twitter and Instagram or wherever the feuds are going on, wherever the limitations are. I want people to be able to speak freely. And if I'm being totally transparent, and I will on your live stream here, I don't care if President Trump posts his nudie pictures or whatever. I'm one of those people who I would prefer full transparency. And if I don't like what you've got, what we were talking about before we started, I'm scrolling through my YouTube and they're showing me booty pictures of thumbnails and stuff. I don't want to see that. I don't know how that even popped up on my feed. I'm going to scroll right past that as quickly as possible so the algorithm doesn't get the. I just think if somebody's producing stuff over and over and over again that we don't like, we just stop listening to them.
Right.
Rather than shutting them down. So anyway, all that to say, maybe I'm dreaming of a different time. I hate division, and it's spilling out into how I'm viewing Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, those types of places. I understand the parlor. I'm watching my friends. I don't understand the parlor. I understand the concept of going to a different platform.
Yep.
However, if I could encourage any folks out there, stay in the fight, whether that be in church or whether that be on the platform, and make what you want to make and see where it's permissible. If it's good stuff, and this is my diatribe, if it's good stuff, it's like the cream that rises to the top.
Yeah.
That Macho Man segment.
Yeah, and that's like the thing that when I think about the church split aspect of it, I hate church splits. I hate division among the body of Christ.
Hate it.
But
Yeah.
I love diversity in the body of Christ.
Yes.
I love that we have hundreds of thousands of churches in America. I love that. I love that there are all of these different churches when the different churches have a different vision and mission behind it with specific diverse gifts and anointings and callings, because that helps the body. That creates a fuller picture of it. But when you've got a church that has one specific, God has called us to do this, and then there's just personality conflicts inside it, and those personality conflicts take that one vision and cut it in half. And now you've got two churches that have the exact same vision and mission. The only reason they're not together is because there were personality conflicts, because there were issues with the way that we relate. And that's me with social media. I love that there are all these different social media platforms. The problem I don't like and I don't love, that I actually kind of hate, is when it's a case of, well, I don't like the way you do this, and I want to do the exact same thing that you're doing, the exact same way that you're doing it,
but better.
Better because I don't like the way you treated me.
Right.
And instead, I think that a proper Christian response should be self-reflective and say, why do I get so upset when I'm treated this way? And what Christians should do is, if your messages are being silenced on these platforms and being shadow banned and hidden, maybe a proper response would be, why? What did I do? What did I say? Instead of just pointing the blame and the finger at Facebook and Twitter or YouTube, what did I do? Was there something that I did? Was there something I said? maybe there's a way for me to approach this in a way that doesn't violate their rules and their community standards, and I could still get that message across. See, it's like I've got people that, other Christian YouTubers, that they've said their videos are constantly being taken down overseas, that they can't get any airplay in China whatsoever, and some of the other Asian countries, where there are people that I know that are there that say, I try to search for Christian content and China's basically blocked a lot of it, but yet my content gets through. Same message, the method is slightly different.
Yeah.
And then that could be something that we could then ask, okay, is there a better way of me doing this, a way of me communicating this, a way of me still being on this platform, still having some unity here, but allowing my gifts to kind of come through, instead of saying I'm just going to take it and go somewhere else? Because ultimately what the problem I think happens is people want to sit there and go to a MeWe or a Gab, which is essentially a Facebook equivalent, and they're going to be like, well, I'm going to go over there, but yet I want you all to come over here as well, because all of my following is over here on Facebook and I want it to be over here.
Sure.
And that's a problem. Or when they do it from Parler to Twitter, or what is the YouTube equivalent that's out there now? I think it's called Rumble. That's kind of the alternative. And they're trying to do some of that stuff. And that's the problem when it's, and even the issue that you're describing, where it's like, hey, this is all YouTube's going to let us do, so now we're going to take our ball and go over here and you should come follow us. Even that just kind of seems a little shady to me, where I get why they're doing it. They're trying to drive that audience over there, and it is effective, and they do that. I'm just not sure it's the best way of doing it. I'm not sure it's the proper way.
Well, what do you do? Understood. But what do you do whenever you're operating under a company or whatever, and they come under new leadership, and all of a sudden the rules change? What's acceptable is no longer acceptable anymore. And that's where, like, I'll take a little bit more tougher of a stand, because in the church our rules are for the most part laid out. we know how it works. Most churches have worked the same way for a long time.
But denominationally, there's a lot of differences in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even church government structure is completely different based on your denomination. I mean, in our church, do we have a board? Absolutely. But our board is kind of a neutered board, where our board really doesn't do anything and doesn't have any power beyond what I, as the lead pastor, can do, with the exception of me getting into heresy. And even in then, there's still a body that we put in place of our ministerial association that would then oversee that and say, yes, the board is within their rights, and yes, Josh is a heretic, so he's out. And in that issue, when it comes to that type of a fighting, it's one or two resolutions. Either they're gone or I'm gone. That's the kind of governance that we have in our church, which I know most churches don't have that. In our church, it's essentially whatever I say goes, for the most part. Now, do I run roughshod over things like that? No, I'm very inclusive, and I'm asking opinions, and I'm getting advice, and I'm getting counsel, because I believe that's a wise thing to do. But we've kind of set up our church government looking at it as one head or multiple heads. And I know not all churches say that, so I'm not saying that ours is the right way, because it's not the right way for everybody. But that's where, even at that core, somebody comes into our church, and we've had this from other denominations, from other church government structures, and they come in and they see what we're doing, and they don't like it, and they think that it's wrong. And it's like, okay, well, go somewhere else then, because this is the way that we're going to do it. And if you don't like it, too bad. And if there was a church, like if at any point our church decided to change that around and it wanted to be board driven, okay. Anybody still in the church that doesn't like it, go somewhere else. And that would be my approach.
Your approach is basically, if you don't like the way it operates, take your toys and go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
Take yourself and go play somewhere else, which is basically what's going on. So if Joshua decides to change his mind, and I'm not talking about I'm not picking on your church. I'm talking about YouTube in particular. So YouTube changes his mind. Joshua changes his mind. We don't like that, because now all of a sudden it influences. There's incomes here. There's impact here. There's reaching people here. So if we're being limited, then we got to take our toys and go play elsewhere. We can do what we can do within the confines of the rules that Joshua set up here. Like maybe we can worship with you guys on Sunday, but all of our meat and taters is going to go somewhere else. And maybe you don't like that because all of, we're splitting our time and our efforts. But like it's the only place that we're allowed to voice our opinions and what we believe in. So my concern to all of that is, and this is the dreamer in me that wants to go back to a better time. My concern to all of that is itching ears that want to hear whatever they want to hear. So there's no consolidated place of like news for the old timer. There's no consolidated help me out. Give me the patriarch of some news, Dan Rather or something. There's no Dan Rather to look at for the factual based thing. Then where is news? And if there's no platform that allows you to grab a camera and go run around, talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about for the given time, because it may violate some sort of policy or then what is the creation type of thing? And I guess my concern is as it devolves and continues to go into split, then, what is truth, but in a way, what are we operating on? What do we stand for anymore? How do we collect together? Or are we just going to continually divide?
Well, I think that there's always, as more people come about, there's always going to be more division, but I don't even know if division and dividing is necessarily the right term, because I think there's a difference between diversity and division. And the multiplicity and the options are really the same in there, but there's a different essence to the two between division and diversity. To me, it would be like if I decide to go to TikTok because I like the style of TikTok, I like the form of TikTok, and I'm like, you know what, guys? YouTube doesn't have the discoverability that TikTok does. I think YouTube needs to do things my way. They need to shut down. I want everybody over there. And yes, boomers, I get that you don't like it and you're comfortable where you're at, but you need to come over to TikTok instead. And that is, I don't know, it's not a healthy approach, I think, in there because...
Floating coffee and...
I don't think it's a healthy approach to do that, because then what we start to do is lose the fact that there are so many diversity. Some people like specific messages. Some people like specific methods. Some people like a certain style. Like in a church context, if you want a pastor to be in a suit because you think that a suit and tie is a reverential, look that a pastor should have when presenting God's word on the Lord's Day, if that's what you believe, don't come to my church, because I'm not going to be your style of reverential, and it's just not going to work. If you, on the flip side, think that anybody that puts on, a suit jacket is going to be somebody that is too stuffy and they're not really relatable and personable, don't come to my church, because I'm typically in a t-shirt and a suit jacket, and I don't wear a ball cap yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's that in and of itself is fine, but it just seems like the whole thing is like we're trying to have our cake and eat it too, where we sit there and we say, I like this platform because of this, and I want to be on TikTok because TikTok reaches a young Gen Z demographic, but I also want all the Facebook people to come here because it's so much easier for me if all of my Facebook audience would come to TikTok so that I only have to do things one way. And I know I'm not going to be able to reach the TikTok over on Facebook because they're like, okay, boomer with everything. So because I don't want to pull them over here, I'm going to try to pull you over there. And to me, an easier, a more, a better approach is just to sit there and say, I've got to make the decision myself. And if I want to reach this audience that's already on this platform, then I need to go to that platform. And if I want this audience that's on this platform, then I need to go to that platform. And if I want to reach both audiences, then I have to go to both platforms, versus saying I just want both audiences to then consolidate on this one perfect platform. Like I want one perfect church, and because I can't find the perfect church, I'm going to create the perfect church. Well, the fact that you even created it, it now has become imperfect because you're an imperfect being. And that is where I see what's going to happen. And this is not a prophetic word. This is not. This is just a student of human history. and of humanity. You know what's going to happen to the Parlors and the MeWes and the Gabs? The exact same thing that happens to the Twitters, the Facebooks, and the YouTubes. Eventually, there is going to be a moment where they disagree on something, and there starts to be a silencing effect. For one of multiple reasons. A lot of YouTubes, a lot of Facebooks is because they're a company that uses ads. Ads are how they support it. It's free for us to use their platform because we're not paying for it. But nothing in this life is truly free. And hear me on this. Nothing in life is free. You may think your salvation is free. It was free for you, but Jesus paid the price. It cost somebody something everywhere. And so for us to use a Facebook, for us to use a Twitter, for us to use a YouTube, free for us, it cost somebody else. And it's either going to be incurred by the host and the provider themselves, or they're going to offset that cost through their advertisers. And then for them to keep operating, well, now the advertisers will pull it. We see this with YouTube all the time. They go through the adpocalypse where creators are putting out some strong content that advertisers have deemed it's not friendly for us. I don't want my ad to go on this channel because they are doing this. And then YouTube has to sit there and say, oh, we're losing ads. We're losing revenue. So our only option at this point is to either limit the type of content that people are making that is not advertiser friendly, or we have to start charging people for using it because we've lost the advertisers. And they make a business decision. What do we do? I mean, me at my church, if I wanted to be the ear-itching church and have a big mega church, I could definitely do it. But I've made a conscious decision that I want to focus on this method and this message. And I know that it's not going to be a popular message, and I know it's not going to be a popular method, but it's what I feel God has equipped me with. And so I'm okay with a small audience because of that. Make sense at all? I don't know if it does.
Yeah.
A lot of this I'm just thinking through too.
Yeah, yes and no. I think if you were to ask us at our core, do we even care? Not really. But I just being honest. This
is true. I don't really care.
But I mean, in talking through it, maybe it is valuable because I can see where, I mean, we've kind of led the world into this. The church, I mean, we've led the world into this of, I don't like it. I'm gonna go play somewhere else. I'm gonna go gather around like-minded people, and we're gonna sit in our bubble. And I hope that the church is the unique element in it where we can say, I'm gonna play on Parler because that's where my like-minded individuals hang out. I hope the church can say, but we're part of a social media ecosystem. We're part of a greater group of individuals. And I really like the point that you've highlighted a couple times now in this stream, that we're not, if every church functions in the identical manner to the other, which I hate the notion of denominationalism where we're separate and we don't play and we're the only ones doing the right thing, the whole thing, the entirety of it. But I do like how each denomination brings its own flavor and brings their own flavor of God, how they've been seasoned throughout the years and their own background and history with him to the table, where we can go, oh, you know what? Not necessarily my strength, so I'm glad you're here, brother. Yeah. And I wish we could do that in the social media space, where YouTube could look up, well, I don't know what the YouTube equivalent was, but Facebook could look across at MeWe and say, well played. Yeah. All right, well, cool. Tip of the hat to you, brother. You know, we'll send you another 60 million your way. I don't know. I just wish we could lead out in that. But it just may be a part of humanity and a part of the fallenness of this world to say, my toys, we're going to go find people who believe the way that I believe, and we're going to do our own thing, rather than hanging in there and saying, now we're part of something greater.
Yeah, and I would love to see that as well. I don't believe it'll ever happen. Just understanding human history and having read the Bible, I don't see it happening. At least not until Jesus returns and sets everything right again.
But you're part of an alliance. There's just such a goodness to some cross-pollination, to sitting down to dinners and having discourse over Nothing over baseball games and connecting about silly stuff or whatever it
Yes.
is, and looking at that person across the having deep conversations sometimes, but looking at that person across the HEB or your grocery store, whatever it is, and someone comes up to entertain an accusation against your brother, you can go, I know him.
Right.
I know the team that he roots for. I know his deep foundational faith in this. We disagree on a lot of matters, but that's a brother right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. If we let him into it, Lord willing, we can lead him out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, going back to like an early conversation that we had where we were talking about how we like to be surrounded by, that community of people that challenge us even, and that do have different thoughts, different belief systems. I like the fact that there are alternatives to Facebook and Twitter. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad it's out there, because what it should do is for the platforms themselves. When the MeWe's and the Gabs come up, then Facebook should be asking themselves, what are they providing that people prefer? And is that something that we should be providing? Are we doing something wrong? And that's where they just need to have that honest conversation. And that's not for us as the users of these platforms to say you're doing it wrong. We don't run it. We don't get to determine what's right and what's wrong for them. That's what they have to determine. That's what their investors have to determine. Now, we can sure vote by leaving the platform. And so the thing is if you really believe that Facebook is 100% wrong, then deactivate your account and leave. Like, just be done with them. But if you think that they're wrong, but you still want to be on there, then stop telling them they're wrong. Because apparently it's not wrong enough for you to actually stand up and do something about it, other than, oh, I just started another one. And instead just say, you know what? And I've got ministry friends that have done this. And they've said, I'm not okay with Facebook suppressing these conversations that I want to have and I feel like I'm supposed to have. So I'm just not going to have those conversations on Facebook anymore because Facebook obviously doesn't want to have them. I'm going to go over here. So if you want to know my political rants and musings, well, you can find me over on MeWe. And that's where I'll be doing that. Over here, it's going to be the rest of my life. But here is what I'm going to do with that. And to me, I'm like, that is a better approach, because then it's not looking at a split. It's looking at, this is just a new platform that is giving me a different perspective and something else that I can do. To me, it's looking at the platforms as the difference between YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to make one the other and saying it's wrong for this, it's like, no, they just have different leanings. And because of that, I can actually embrace both.
And there's something to this that's going to be the intangible, and I've picked up on it too. This is something that church people, that spirit people are going to notice, and I'm not marking the whole brand. I'm just saying at current, you're picking up on something, Joshua. There have been rivals to all of these platforms before. I mean, TikTok is a rival to Instagram and all the, as they come up, Snapchat was a rival to Instagram, those types of things. And we've celebrated them before because it's a good old fashioned company trying to rise up through the ranks. It's another opportunity to expand the kingdom, to get in there and share the gospel. Yes, they've been. But the intangible part of this is this feels different. And why does it feel different? I think maybe because the group of friends and the news reports and things like that put it in the reason that Parler or MeWe or whatever exists is because whatever, and I'm going to stick it to the man. And that may be a bit too far, and I'm purposely going a bit too far, but there's a spirit, man, if we were to put it into spiritual terms, there's something ain't right here at its foundation, something right here at this tipping point. Maybe it changes back. Maybe, good people get in there and get it and swing it. But I will say, being a spirit man, you're one as well. Yeah. I can identify that this isn't necessarily diversity. This isn't a new Snapchat springing up. There's a purposeful bent towards division in some of this. I think that's where we are getting the animosity, the kind of the reaction from us of like, wait a minute.
Right. Well, and
speaking
that
of
would
church
be,
splits,
and that would be something else. That here's something, and I'm speaking directly for the Christians at this point. When I speak directly to the Christians, here's something you should be asking yourself with regards to this. If you're thinking of this as a complete alternative, because They have silenced, they have suppressed what I'm trying to say, so I'm going over here because at least over here I'm with like-minded people and they're going to allow me to express my thoughts without any...
For how long? But go ahead.
Yes, but even at that thought, do you really believe that we need to be around more amen crowds?
Amen.
You know, it's like, this should be a question. One of my core beliefs is that Christianity is not meant to be comfortable. It is meant to be uncomfortable, which is why Jesus sent the Comforter for us. And if we are comfortable, then we don't need the Comforter. I mean, it's like, if I'm laying in bed and the temperature is perfect, I don't need a comforter on me. But if I'm cold, I need a comforter. I need that. And so to me, if we're in a place that is a yes and amen type of a crowd and everybody is in harmony and everybody's agreeing and all I'm getting is pats on the backs for what I say, where and when do I actually need God's Spirit in that moment? Because now I have made myself comfortable. And that's kind of one of those big things for me. I get the hate comments all over on social media. I'm on Facebook and there are people left and right, pastors, even in our own ministerial association, that will reach out to me because I said something or I posted something that they disagree with. And that's an uncomfortable feeling.
It's the best.
And I embrace it and I love it, because in that moment, I have to rely on the Holy Spirit and say, okay, the Holy Spirit comes to correct us and to comfort us. And so it's like, okay, do I need some correction in this moment? I'm not saying what's wrong with them. I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Is there something that I did wrong? Is my approach not right? And even when it comes to like leaving a church or leaving a company, you know, because they've changed the rules, they've changed the game, there's a way for us to leave graciously and to speak about them with mercy. To where we're not blasting them on, you're wrong and nobody should ever go to that. There's a way of us just saying, you know what? It was just time for me to leave. It's just not for me anymore. And then if people ask and they question it, go ahead. Give them the reasoning and the rationale that you're going through. Because maybe in that they'll identify, and maybe in that they'll recognize something that they don't. Like when I'm listening to my Facebook friends saying we're leaving for MeWe and we're leaving for Parler, one of the things that I identify real quick is a lot of the motivation from it is coming from a wrong perspective that I don't buy into. So that's not for me. A few others are coming in from a perspective that I do appreciate. But my season of being like all in on the political sphere is done. And because not to say I'm not political, not to say I'm not engaging in the political sphere, but the way I used to do it, that season is past. If it wasn't past, I would probably go over there, and then I would probably get chased off from there too, because I would be telling people they need to be biblical and not political, which is what happened in this state. So to me, it's a lot of that discomfort we should be seeking out. We should be chasing after that discomfort, because when I'm uncomfortable, when I'm facing opposition, when I'm facing rejection, when I'm facing anything trying to silence what I'm saying, it's a really good indicator that maybe I'm right where Jesus wants me.
And that's some serious truth right there, since we're talking specifically to the Christians. I have been awakened to that, at least our church has as well. In the last couple of weeks to months, we've been pushing into the uncomfortable areas, even in our services and, in some of the interactions and relationships that surround our church. And we have seen the most breakthrough, the most God moments where he parts the waters type of thing, steps in, weighs in on the deal. Yep. And it has been healthy, and it has only grown the church every time. And you can feel it. There's a tangible uncomfortableness to the room or to the conversation, and it shifts. And it's like, I don't want to be here. Yeah. God, what are you doing?
Right.
Where is this going? And then he steps in and shows what he's doing. It's like, oh, never mind. This was so amazing. Thank you so much. I think you're right, man. I think there's a lot of really cool conversations and perspectives that need to be had by Christians. There's a right way to do things for sure.
Yeah. Dean may have the greatest summation
I
of this
love
whole
it.
conversation. If I disagree right now, am I actually agreeing by not being a part of the amen crowd? I don't know, but you just did a whole Tenet thing on my mind at the moment.
Well done.
So
I agree.
there we'll leave it. And honestly, I think if I were to add anything to this, to try to wrap it up and to summarize this whole conversation that we're having about, social media and freedom of speech, just ask yourself questions. Be very self-reflective and introspective and say, what don't I like about this? And is it just me being uncomfortable with it? And is that an opportunity for God to really work on me? I also think that here in America, one of the big issues that we have is with our freedom and our independence. We promote it almost to a fault because nothing is truly free. Somebody paid a price. Even the freedom that we have in this country. Yesterday was Veterans Day. Where did that freedom come from? From the men and women like the guy that I'm looking at right now that have served this nation and been willing to put their lives on the line if it called that. And they paid a price. They offered, they did that service. And so it's free for me, but it wasn't free for you, Jared. You paid. Not like others have, but you still paid and you served. And for that, it's like I have to be aware of that and I have to recognize that. And when we talk about our independence, we can get into a patriotism that is unbiblical because no Christian should ever be independent. We need to be dependent. We should be depending on the Most High in everything. And so independent with regards to our ability to worship Him, but totally dependent on Him for everything we have. And I think these are the things that if we just start to question ourselves more, and if we try to bring God into everything, bring God into your social media use. What is God trying to say to me in this moment? Is there a perspective that I have? And again, I'm not saying because I'm not on MeWe, Parler, and Gab, and Rumble, or whatever, that you shouldn't be. All I'm saying is, first and foremost, how about you ask God about it and find out? And then when you feel that little check, and it's like, I don't know, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. If you're not positive on that, well, that's where you should start asking some more advice and ask it from people that disagree with you and that may have a difference of opinion, just so you can think out loud and think through these things and then really get that moment of, you know what, I'm okay with being there for this reason, but I'm not okay with it being this reason. Is this the reason that I'm called to? If so, by all means.
That's so good, man. That's good. I think with everything in the faith, just parting shots here. Everything in the faith, there's a bit of a tension and a balance between what God's called us to. So we were just talking about today. We want to seek out those uncomfortable moments in relationships and find people who challenge us and don't think the same way as we do, yet also who are willing to be made of one mind in Christ, type of thing, where they were of one mind. There's a balance to it all, and I think, Josh, you summed it up perfectly when you said, "Did God call you into Parler, MeWe, and what's the other one? Gab?"
Gab. If He did, go.
Great, go with God. You're dependent upon His being for your next every breath.
Yep.
Goodness.
Yeah. And I think some of that even came from me, the whole start of the YouTube, that process. I kept encouraging other people to go on there. and it finally took 3 or 4 of them to say, Josh, the reason you keep trying to find people to go is because you're supposed to go. So stop telling other people what to do and just do it yourself.
So in closing, you're not going to be on Parler, MeWe, or Gab.
No, I have no intention of being on there. Just, it's not the platform that God has called me to at this moment. I never will say never when it comes to the things of God. At some point, He may call me to that. And if He does, fine. That's like, I can never say that I will never go back to Canon. Because if Canon actually pulls their head out of their rectum, then I might actually be able to.
That's true. That's true. And as with the whole balance thing, you said you're decreasing in your thinking as far as politically minded and making certain assertions and stances. I'm increasing in all of that. I feel a tug of I need to speak up on certain things. I need to give at least for our area perspective because we seem mooringless right now. Moorless, sorry, not mooring.
Yep.
Moorless in where we stand. So I'm feeling that push. And will I be on Parlor? Gab, MeWe? No, because God hasn't told me to step up in those areas yet. And when he does, I'll be there.
Yep.
If he does.
And I'll also put this little caveat out there. I don't think there's a single platform, social media platform that has come out that showed any promise of catching on fire that I have not checked out. So I have opened an account on all of those, and I've scrolled through and I've looked at stuff, and I've been thoroughly unimpressed. And so it's nothing for my benefit. And if it's not for my benefit, and I'm not there to benefit because God has called me, then I'm just not going to. So, but if you want to, just don't look for me there. Genevieve says, why is it every time I hear MeWe, I want to say MeWe, Pee-wee? No idea. So, the rural youth pastor, I think that might be Dustin, if I remember right. Facebook is full of people who need Jesus. That's why I'm staying there. Hashtag Facebook preach. Yeah. There you go. And that's the other thing. Don't do what I would do and spread yourself too thin. Like, I'm on most of the socials out there. I can't be on any more socials without giving up some. I haven't even figured out Pinterest, and yet Pinterest is still one of the heavy hitters. So if I can't figure that out, then I don't know. That's all I got. Anything else?
Me too. No, I'm good.
Nothing? All right. Well, there you go. That's Blog Pastors Podcast, episode number 28. Signing off. I am Joshua Verwers. Who are you?
I'm Jared Brown.
Where can they find you, Jared?
You can find me at Bite of Brownie Productions on Instagram or A Bite of Brownie on YouTube. Jared Brown everywhere else. Right. Future, maybe Jared Brown, maybe, I don't know, maybe some other names. But for right now, that's where you can find me.
And you can find me everywhere but MeWe, Parlor, and Gab at Joshua Verwers. Until next week, stay blessed, enjoy God's best, and have a fantastic week.